There is almost like a word of play here in these Psalms, not always written down, but there is between the lines to discover. But overall, the message is hope, hoping for a better future and a better life. Here on after, the Psalms are getting longer, but with that, we can deep dive into the texts and almost touch the feelings and emotion that are left behind for us for 2.5 millennia ago. This episode is a little bit longer than usual, and that depends on the facts uh, that this episode has 6 Psalms instead of 5, and is the end of book 4 in the book of Psalms. So, welcome to Leah's Babble Psalms. Here we have a laundry list of how to live your life right, or more like how to live your life irreproachable, as in line 2. I want to learn how to live life irreproachable. And from line 3 and onwards, we're getting served as a list of things that are opposite of what irreproachable is. And those are who are false, spread gossip, are full of pride and stuck up, those who are ambitious and come with lies, have nothing to do in the house of or the presence of the Lord. And to come to think of, that is just common sense. The message of this psalm is an ancient call of all of us to do that it is okay to protect your peace. It is said that this psalm is written by someone that is oppressed or even depressed, and I can understand why. The first line in this psalm are also written by one of the founders of Taizé. Taizé is a monastery in southern France, and uh, the lines here are 2 and 3. Lord, hear my prayer. When I call, answer me. Lord, hear my prayer. Come and listen to me. The writer is desperate for God, and is just skin and bones, as it is written in line 6. This means that the writer is not the first nor the last time that this is experience starvation. It has been used, and starvation has been used as a weapon of war for all time. This psalms may start in misery, but it will end in joy and glory, only because of one thing: hope. Hope for, it is said that the hope is a dream with a plan. And here you get the proof of the same. Hope for a better future, for a better life, something that is profoundly rooted in every human being, even to this day. But a thing that pulls my heartstrings is in line 19. This has to be written down for ages to come. It is important to write down things so it will not be forgotten, especially the bad things, so they don't happen again. I can feel the desperation in that line, as an assurance that things that are written down are correct ones, so the generations that comes after can learn from it. That's the thing with history. You have to know where you come from to know where you're going. And this line is sort of takes us, uh, and this line of thought takes us eventually to line 28 with the epiphany of praise. But you are the same. Your years never ends. Here is God, immortal and omnipotent, and I can't shake the feeling that as long as you are in the hands of God, everything will be all right. The mood in these Psalms is completely different from being written by David compared to his earlier work. But remember that theology is perishable. It grows and shrinks with you over the time, and so is probably for David too. The Psalms are filled to the brim with his good day theology. And it starts off already in line 3 and 4. He forgives all of my sins and cures all of my diseases. He saves me from the grave and anoints me with mirthfulness and grace. These are the words from someone that has completely let God into their lives. And to what extent? We get two clues in the text. The line 12 and 20. We start with 12. So far apart that what east is to west. This is written down in a time when it was believed that Earth was flat. And that gave me the thought of the children's song. He's got the whole world in his hands. Well, anyway, back to flat Earth. A flat surface creates in itself boundaries, aka don't sail too far in any direction, you will tip over the edge. I want to say that God is more than someone and something that create boundaries. Instead of a God that embraces the world, we get a God that holds the world like a tray. The second clue we get in line 20. Praise the Lord, you all his angels, strong heroes that does as he command. It helps you to think the angels as soldiers and the archangels as commander in that army. And the full purpose of that army is one thing, and that is protection. So in the end, we have a God that protects the world and an army, angel army that protects its inhabitants. The theme of this psalm is the correlation between life and water. They were on something here 2.5 millennia ago. In an agricultural society, water is crucial. Without water, neither crops or livestock can live or grow. But what caught me in the text was how on point they were without modern technology or science. The psalm starts with the mandatory praise of the Lord as the creator, as in line 2. You sweep a cloak of light around you, you have stretched out the sky like a tent. Later it is established that God created the foundation of the earth, and after that, in line 6, filled the earth with water. The ancient seas covered it like a garment, while it covered over the mountains. This makes me wonder if they knew about the different ice ages that have covered the earth at some point, or if their of these choice of words are just a coincidence. Now that I come to think of it, the text might mean the flood back in the day, where the mountains were covered with water, and was therefore the Ark of Noah landed on the mountain Ararat. But the conclusion that water is life-giving, and we get that in line 9 to 18 and 24 to 26. I'm not going to quote it just because it's too much text, but what caught my eye was line 25. There is the sea, wide and wild, teeming with life without limits of animal, big and small. Nowadays, we know that life on Earth started in the sea and is one of the crucial components we are searching for when we look at other planets in the universe. We are getting a glimpse of God's power and his power over his creation in line 32. When he looks upon the earth, it trembles. When he touches the mountains, they start to smoke. This is the ancient way of describing earthquakes and volcano eruptions. This is one of the longest psalms in the book, with 45 lines, and it is a history lesson. Remember that before these were written down, these psalms were memorized by heart, and it's a lot to remember. If it was written today, the modern word name dropping would be the foundation of it all, because this psalm is a short version of Genesis, basically. All of the important names from Abraham and onwards are mentioned, Isaac, Jacob, Moses, Aaron, and so on, and everything that God had made them to do or made for them. But it is one name that I haven't talked about here on the channel, and that is Joseph. Not Jesus' stepdad, but the Joseph in the Old Testament that gets sold as a slave by his brothers and ends up at the king's court where he interprets king's dream with the help of the Lord. He's an interesting character, so I'm going to do a special episode about him later on here on this channel. In line 41, we get another glimpse of God's power. And it is, if in Psalm 104 I talk about earthquake and volcanic eruptions, but here we have something else. And it is, he opened up the cliffs and water flowed. The writer might have talked about a spring, but for me, that is a geyser. And that is a natural force that is unprecedented in some ways. If we have Genesis in the Psalm of 105, then we have Exodus in this psalm. And the first line made me think of a psalm from Taizé once again, called Confirmettenini Domini, or In the Lord I'll be ever thankful, linked down below as always. Once again, this psalm is a mouthful to remember, with a lot of information to get in the right order. We all know the stories about Sodom and Gomorrah, but here we get Baal, Peor, and Horeb. To understand the stories about Baal, Peor, and Horeb, we need to know some of their locations and meaning. We start with Horeb. Now, Horeb is a mountain, and that is exactly two names. And the other name of that mountain is Sinai. Yes, that is the same mountain where Moses gets his 10 Commandments. But the mountain has an eastern side and a western side, where the western side called Horeb and the eastern side called Sinai. So far so good, right? Well, not so much. But here is the kicker. The word Horeb translates into dry place or heat, and has references to the sun. And we all know that worshipping the sun or the sun disk was looked upon as a pagan. At the same time, the word Sinai has its roots from the word of moon. So a correct translation of the mountain is the mountain of sun and moon. It is both a sacred and a cursed place at the same time. So what happens at Horeb that stands out from the rest? And the answer is to that we get in line 19. They made a calf at Horeb and worshipped it, it cast its image. The worshipping of bulls, where calf comes from, of course, was a leftover from the Mesopotamian Empire that spread its influence all over the region. And one way to worship was cast an image of a bull or a calf in iron or bronze, some big enough to house a human in its belly, light a fire underneath. You can surely figure out the rest. So it is understandable that the Hebrews wanted to take one step away from that kind of practice. Then we have Baal Pegor, as in line 28. They joined the Baal Pegor and ate from the sacrifice to gods without life. Baal Pegor, or PR, is a physical place, but it is what happens at that place that is more important to remember. Baal was the pagan god from the time of the Moabs, and in the eyes of the Hebrew was a symbol of immorality, both spiritual and sexual nature. Historical record and archaeological finds suggest that many found it, worshipping Baal easier than worshipping the god of Hebrews. Baal was the god of fertility, like Freya in the Norse mythology, Priapos from the Greek mythology, or Isis in Egypt, and so on. Almost a little Conan Barbarian over him, crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the, the levitation of their women. The Hebrew god was the exact opposite of that. And there is why he blesses them that believes in him. I will do a separate episode about Baal and the culture surrounding him, just because the impact it has on the writer of the Old Testament. So you have something to look for. So now we have come to an end of this episode. Hopefully I have awakened your curiosity to dive down into the Psalms and let the text speak for himself. In the description down below you find useful links, as always, information about my other social media account and so on. And please like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment if you like what you hear. Don't miss out on my live streams at Fridays at 9 p.m. Central European time. Feel free to browse around in here. I have something for both the believer and the seeker. And remember, if you don't know what to do, at least be kind. Love and light to you all. I hope I see you soon, all my friends. Bye.